Imagine what it would be like if you couldn't pray. As Christians, prayer is at the very center of who we are. We are a praying people. We pray because we're not in control. We pray because God hears us. It's like in the Psalms. When things are going well, we want to give God thanks. When things are not going well, or we're facing grief or sorrow, we want to ask for help. To not be able to pray is to not be able to do any of these things. And yet that's exactly what happened to Joshua. Joshua is a young Australian university student who loves Christ and wanted to share that with his friends and those who he came into contact with. And yet Joshua quickly found himself in trouble. In fact, it cost him dearly.
I've grown up in a Christian family and I've been raised with Christian values, and I was around about 3 or so when I first made the decision to follow Jesus. Since then, it's just been a continuous journey of discovering more of who Jesus is. So it all started when I received an email to say that I'd been reported by a few students for student misconduct. And so the instance that had been reported was me just talking to a girl I've been friends with for the past year and a half, and so we were just talking about work and she was saying she was really stressed. I asked if I could pray for her. She said, yeah. Something that she appreciated afterwards. She said, look, I don't agree with that. I'm an atheist personally, but thank you, I really appreciate the care. But I was then told that I shouldn't be praying for students on campus and that it's challenging their beliefs and that I shouldn't be doing that. I was pretty annoyed, pretty confused as to why that was a reason. I was like, no way is that a fair reason to suspend me. I'd been told that I needed to attend fortnightly counselling sessions to learn how to appropriately interact with my peers. I was also told that if I stepped foot on campus again, that I would be removed by security guards. So I was quite amazed by that, thinking, wow, I've simply spoken to someone and I'm now like a threat to the safety of other students. Found out through a friend of the family's through church that she'd received some help in a situation from the Australian Christian Lobby. Yeah, right from the start they were very encouraging, very comforting, and just reminded me, look, like, you've been put in the wrong here, you've got God, He'll help you with this, it's worth us fighting it. We received some great help from the lawyers there. They addressed the university, took back the suspension and cleared my record, which was a brilliant result because I may not be doing the current uni course I'm now doing if it wasn't for that. It could have prevented me from getting jobs and all of that, so yeah, I'm very blessed to have had the help. If we didn't have their protection, then a lot of people in universities in other cases would be shut down without being able to come back in that environment, and knowing now that I have that sort of assistance available if something like this happens again gives me that freedom to be able to keep sharing with wisdom, but being able to keep sharing knowing that I have such help there. And yeah, it definitely makes a difference for me.
A decade ago, it would have been unthinkable for an Australian university student to face suspension simply for offering to pray for a friend. And yet Josh's story is but one example of how quickly things are changing in Australia. For over 20 years, the Australian Christian Lobby has been a voice for values in Australia's parliaments, and more recently through the Human Rights Law Alliance in our courts. It is a voice that is badly needed at a time when our political leaders and institutions are increasingly emboldened in their hostility to faith. But I know that if we work together, by the power and grace of God, we can be a light in the darkness, and we can be a voice for values.